Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your Saturn special horoscope covering Saturn's move into the sign of Sagittarius at the very end of 2014 for the better part of the next 3 years. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Saturn moving into a new sign does suggest that all of us in some way are going to understand that our most important learning is going to come if we pay attention to the lessons that we are being called to, if we pay attention, if we act practical, and if we put in the time to gain tangible results. Saturn, ultimately, it is my belief, and a lot of astrologers out there do believe, that Saturn is reward. Saturn needn't be difficult. Even though he gets a pretty bad rap, Saturn is saying manifest and honor the fact that we are incarnated. Honor the physical plane. And this is going to be a big lesson for all of us in some way. Saturn, as he moves to the sign of Sagittarius, will be speaking with Jupiter and Neptune and Uranus as well. All of this does speak to this call to be honest with ourselves, to put in the time, and to practically manifest, to move beyond what might be a dream, even a pipe dream, and actually do the work so that we gain something very valuable in the process, self-respect, which is ultimately what Saturn is truly about. Now, I have created a special video to look at Saturn, how Saturn moving into Sagittarius is going to speak to us collectively. But this video is, of course, for your sign. I thank you so much for being here. And I thank all of you out there who've been requesting these videos for months. Thank you so much for your trust in my interpretation of the sky. It will be a great transit. I do believe that. And it will be a great move as Saturn moves through the sign of Sagittarius. Enjoy. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. Thank you for being here. Saturn is your ancient ruling planet, and Saturn will be moving into a part of the sky for you that can be considered your home in the sky. In fact, for astrological students, astrology students out there, it is your house in the sky, if you will. And this is a part of the sky that actually feels very much like home to you and represents sort of the natural areas of life where you find yourself. You find your center, your core, if your sun sign is Aquarius. You find your emotional fulfillment if your moon sign is Aquarius. Or you find a sense of natural connection, if you will. You find a sense of ease of attraction if your rising sign is Aquarius. This area of life has to do with friendship. It has to do with your hopes and your wishes, being a very idealistic sign. And it also has to do with the money that you make through the accomplishment of goals, particularly those goals that matter to you. And that is very much correlated to that independent spirit that you have that desires to do what it is that you desire to do. That ultimately is about knowing that there is something within you that you can trust, and that something can actually provide for you in many different ways as well. So let's break it down one at a time. First, I wanted to talk about friendship. And the reason I wanted to is because as independent as your sign is, there is an understanding that there's a lot to be gained by forging and keeping connections with others. Now, I will be honest with you. I have been, I always will be, okay? And as I'm saying to all the signs out there, and I said in the collective video, Saturn moving through the sign of Sagittarius should be very interesting, the first part of the cycle. But by the time we get to the later part of 2016 and into 2017, really great rewards and payoffs are there to those that stay the course, which is all of us. If you stay diligent to the lessons that show up for you, you do your best and you surrender the rest, you will find wonderful rewards find you just a little bit further down the road. And the reason for that is because as much as there's energy of needing to forgive and maybe some disappointment, maybe some confusion in the early part of Saturn's journey through the sign of Sagittarius, in the later part, Saturn is speaking in supreme harmony with your modern ruling planet, Uranus. And this to me represents really one of the high points for you, really possibly of your life. One of those peak times that you will look back on and say, wow, I accomplished so much that really mattered to me. I moved my life in a whole other direction, and it will feel like you moved your life in a whole other direction, because ultimately Saturn is about self-respect. It's about doing what you need to do to move your life in a direction that you want, and then reaping the reward of that. And there is going to be that feeling that, wow, I moved myself in a phenomenal direction, a really great direction during that period of time. In the late part of 2016 and 2017, boy, did my fortunes change in big, beautiful, wonderful ways. And that is exactly what you are going to be saying to yourself. So much is going to be changing for you, right down to the core of who you understand yourself to be, and what it is ultimately that you truly hope and aspire for. And I do think that as part of this, you are going to find yourself taking leaps and bounds forward in the direction of your dreams. So, starting with friendships, let's take it back. Friendships. This is a time when, it's in the beginning especially, you're going to be trying to figure out how you're going to deal with different friends, where it is that maybe friends have felt like they've let you down or been disappointing, and where it is really, and I think this is going to play a part, if there have been any hurts that you've been sweeping under the rug, this is going to be your chance to forgive. There's also going to be an element here of you where maybe there's been some confusion about what was in the past, getting the record straight, really. But it might not be the record straight in terms of the type of clarity that you hope for. That might not come until a little bit further down the road, but rather it's going to be about understanding the complexities of what has been and where you are now in the context of your different friendships and what's led you here. So there's an element of looking at disappointments, and as part of that, and because one big lesson for all of us is going to be around forgiveness, there may be a need for forgiveness towards a friend, of you recognizing that, you know what, this is a person, I got to forgive this person for whatever reason, for whatever motivation, but largely for your own peace of mind. Now, I do also have to say there's a certain financial element to what's going to be taking place. And also for you, I look at the sort of financial connection. So I have to say, as I look at this, be mindful before getting into business with a friend, okay? If you are in business with a friend, then understand that that friendship is going to have to evolve, and that there's going to be a need for you to figure out how that evolution and what that evolution is going to look like. There may be, I'm going to just say, be very honest, for a small percentage of you out there, there may be some financial losses associated with friendships that sort of make you go, oh, wow, okay, this is the state of my friendship. This is who this person actually is. That doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's taking anything from you. But what it does mean, as I said, if you go into business with somebody, there may be some losses there. You may volunteer the losses, actually. You may say to yourself, okay, this seemed like a good idea before, but now I don't think I want to do this anymore. You take the business. Don't worry about it. You don't owe me anything. It might be something like that. It may be that your friend unknowingly ends up costing you a lot of money. This is definitely not a time to be lending your friends any money that you need. So I'm very much of the belief, and I think as an Aquarius, you really should know this, and probably do know this as well. Don't lend money that you're not okay giving away. Because when you do that, then it creates sort of this string, if you will, sort of an emotional string, emotional attachment, a feeling of loss, which is not good for anybody involved in that. There should always, when you do give, it should come from a feeling of abundance. If you're giving even as a loan, it should come from a feeling of absolute abundance, that you have so much that it's no problem. And that way, if you get it back, great. If you don't, it's okay too. You know you're going to be just fine. And so these are going to be part of the lessons for you to look at as well. There's sort of another manifestation of this as well, aside from the financial and the friendship and financial, that has to do with self-worth. And you end up like sort of feeling like, where do you fit into the context of what is happening with your friend? And so is your friend doing better than you? Is your friend doing things that you feel that you haven't had the opportunity to do that you really want to be doing? Is your friend representing or having a certain life that you feel or have felt has been out of your grasp, or something that maybe you don't feel worthy of? This is part of your healing. Of course, you're worthy of absolutely anything that you can imagine. I'm very much of the belief of that. And I'm very much of the belief, and especially with Saturn, you can have anything that you're willing to work towards. So whatever it is that you're willing to work towards, you can have and you deserve as well. But if there's any issues that are blocking that, this is your chance to actually heal them. So friends are going to facilitate some very powerful spiritual learning for you that ultimately is going to come down to you and your own feelings of self-worth and your own feelings of understanding who you are. There's also an element here that has to do with love as well. Okay, so when I look at a sky like this, the temptation might be there to especially, I mean, this is just for sort of a brief moment, if you will. But I do want to say, as I look at the sky, that there may be a context here of a friend, you thinking about a friend becoming more than a friend. You just want to be mindful, okay, if that is a choice that you make. Be a little mindful of that, because it does look like the realities of what love entails and what friendship entails can be very different. And so just be mindful of that. There may also be the case where a partner doesn't get along with a friend or doesn't want you spending as much time. This is a small possibility, but if that's the case, you're going to have to find the right balance that feels right to you as well. But for all that, there's a lot of growth to be had and a redefining of what friendship is going to mean to you and who you actually want in your life. If you're going through some dramatic changes, lots of changes, then naturally the people around you are going to go through a metamorphosis as well. The people around you are going to be going through changes as well. So it's up to you to decide how it is that you're going to navigate that, and to learn along the way, and to understand that every person in front of you is ultimately your teacher. And if you can embrace that stance, you will find yourself really grateful for the lessons and the growth and the learning. Another way this energy can manifest, as I said, has to do with hopes and wishes. And this is about you really getting serious about why you want what you want. And if you do want it, what you're willing to do to get it. And this is a time when certainly you can manifest, especially in the later part of this next 3 years, you can manifest incredible things, incredible progress. You can manifest dreams come true really phenomenally, and really feeling like your life just steps into a whole other place and a whole other level. Especially if you're doing anything that's sort of on a bigger scale in terms of like media, not necessarily in terms of like things like publishing. Yes, to a certain extent, sure. That's certainly a strong possibility. If you are looking to have a book published, this is a time when the publishing could happen, but it looks more likely that you figure out a way to reach as many people as possible with your message, with what you have to say. Then that becomes part of making your dreams reality. So that's certainly the case. Given that your sign, and especially, I don't want to get too technical here, but I do look at the fact that the internet may play a part in this as well. And so this is a time, if you have anything to share it online, is a very good way to find yourself making a lot of tangible gains, and the kind of gains that really last, getting a lot of attention that really matters to you. This is about hopes and wishes, as I said. And so this is about getting clear on the one hand of what you want, but also because of the early part of this cycle is going to have to do with, you know, acknowledging where maybe hurt has driven you and where you're ready to let that go. Understanding that forgiveness doesn't take away motivation, but it frees you to experience the joy of what it is that you desire, what you hope for, and what you wish for, what you desire to achieve. And so all of that becomes highlighted under this cycle. In the first part of the cycle, we also have this whole element of, do I deserve to achieve this? Okay, so whether it's friends facilitating that or it's you, am I worthy? What is the value of what I am giving? And does this allow my dreams to manifest? It's about looking at your doubts, releasing the past, releasing any fear, being at peace with yourself and with the world, so that the dreams you do have for your life manifest with a greater ease and a greater sense of self and a greater sense of peace. But certainly do not let the energy at the beginning of this cycle fool you, because the energy at the beginning of the cycle at times might feel disappointing, at times might feel like you're putting in a lot of energy and not getting a lot back. Don't let that fool you, because the rewards that do come are going to be big, and they're going to come just a little bit further, and they're going to become as a result, and they're going to come as a result of the dues that you pay. They're going to come as a result of you doing what's in front of you to do, paying your dues, doing the work, demonstrating that you have faith, and manifesting from that place. When you put in the hours, success is the natural result. That is what Saturn teaches. And for you, if you have a dream, you can certainly make it happen, but it involves a process, and you've got to trust the process and be diligent at it. Learn from it, certainly. Make tweaks along the way, certainly, but be diligent as you walk it, and you will find yourself setting yourself on a course to gain fabulously, absolutely fabulously. And also, I did say that this part of the sky has to do with money you gain from the achievement of goals, and particularly career goals. So you've had this period of time as Saturn moved through the sign of Scorpio to actually consider what you're doing in terms of your career and actually doing it, putting in the hours to achieve success. And especially once we get you in the summer of 2015, as Saturn moves back into this part of the sky that has to do with career over the summer of 2015, it's going to be your chance to sort of sew up any loose ends, to make sure you understand what it is that you're doing, what you're going for, what your purpose is, what you desire to achieve, whether you call it career, whether you call it life purpose. What it is what you believe is actually worth going for in the highest possible sense. Really sowing those last seeds, understanding, getting clear on what that is, so that that can create greater prosperity for you, so that you can more fully implement the financial gain that can come from the successes that the universe has been encouraging you to have. And so over the last 3 years, as Saturn moved through the sign of Scorpio, it was about the self-respect that comes from setting a goal and achieving it. The self-respect that comes from actually accomplishing something on the career sphere, or even just personally, goals that are worthy to you. And now it's about understanding that there's a self-respect that comes when you know that what it is that you believe you're meant to do is aligned with how it is that you create prosperity for yourself. So that's going to start to be the focus. In the beginning, as I said, because the energy is kind of fluctuating, in the beginning, it might feel like things aren't as clear as you would like them to be. However, once we get you to the later part of this cycle, there are wonderful financial rewards that are there. This is a time when, as I said, you could go viral. It's very possible. This is a time when financially you make tremendous gains as well. And it comes as a result of being who you are and sharing in a spontaneous way and in a very authentic way as well. One thing is for sure, though, as Saturn moves through this new segment of the sky and moves into your home in the sky, something in you is going to feel like it has come home. Allow it to. Welcome it. Because it is in this place that you are going to find yourself really becoming clear about who you are, what you want, and ultimately what you're going for in the highest sense. And you will find yourself achieving just that. Well, thank you so much for watching. It will be a great transit of Saturn moving through the sign of Sagittarius. Enjoy.